Hello, welcome back. It is Chris and Elizabeth here in the middle of our global summit, continuing right along. We're just cruising. What a fabulous day we're having. How are you feeling, Elizabeth?
I'm feeling fine. We got up, we had a little bit of water, a little snack in
Yeah,
between everything. But I'm loving all the people. I'm loving all their messages. I'm loving their heart energy,
yeah,
just everything about it.
yeah,
I love hearing that success isn't a dollar in your bank necessarily,
yeah,
and there's different visualizations for success. So
yeah.
I don't know,
And
just a bit.
yes, exactly. So it has been delightful, and we are so happy with our speakers, and our content today has just brought me so much joy. I feel successful doing
I,
this with you today.
That's a really good point. I know. I feel energized. I
Mhm.
feel really happy to have done this. I was a little unsure about the day because it felt kind of long, and I'm like, no, when it's good content and good people and everybody, it's just got the momentum. So thank you for joining us. And if you have questions while we're talking, please send us a comment. We are here to do part two of our earlier conversation, sort of a continuation of defining success on our own terms. And we're going to just kind of trade back and forth and have a discussion in
Yeah.
Chris and Elizabeth format, right?
That's right, absolutely. And I mean, this is the speaking slot for Elizabeth, so we're going to get a little deeper into some things in her life because we are both the kinds of leaders and coaches. We're sharing people. We like
Yeah.
to do that. And so in using different tools for success, so before we talked about what it means and the tangible items, but there's a lot of tools. There's a lot of things that go into the idea of success. And so the very first one there, I love it, and these are in no particular order, is think with your heart.
Hmm.
And you use that all the time. So you
I
talk
do.
about that.
Yeah, it's a concept from my book Percolate, Let Your Best Self Filter Through. There's a whole actual poem I wrote about it. I was so energized about thinking with your heart. And it's really that process where we go from thinking here to thinking from here, or thinking with our heart in mind, and really what that means. Somebody's calling. If you're
Oh,
calling, come back to the conference. I can't answer you right now. um, but yeah, just think with your heart, and that just means so much to me. We just um, when we're thinking from here, it's a different place of thinking from here. There's a lot of things that happen when you put your hands over your heart and
mhm.
really think about what you're doing. And I just firmly believe that the heart check for important decisions, choices, changes, life moments, and so forth is just so important right here.
Yeah, I love that. I think it helps you stop overthinking as
Oh,
well.
doesn't it? Just brings you peace.
Yeah.
And I think the key though is people are like, well, Elizabeth, Chris, I'm going to think with my heart, but that's gotten me, it feels like it might have gotten me in trouble before. Like I've thought with my heart and that relationship didn't work out, or this didn't work out, and so forth. I would push that back and just say, make sure that you place your confidence and your trust right here in your heart, and trust that, life's a process, and not every moment is going to be perfectly peaceful, and not everything is going to be perfectly peaceful. I sure want it to be. I wish it was, and so forth. But this doesn't guide. It's a great guidance system. It
Mhm.
doesn't steer you wrong.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the thing. Life isn't perfect. And so what do? We do our best. We use the tools that we have. And so this is why I love number 2 here. Embrace your space. You are important and you have a space that you take up, but really embrace it, whatever that means for you. And so, what does that mean for you, Elizabeth? Embrace your space.
This took me a long time to figure out, and it goes hand in hand with values, and
Mhm.
I think it goes hand in hand with authenticity. It's one of those where I wish I would have known this when I was about 2, 3, 4, 5,
Mhm.
6, kind of thing. I wish somebody would have said to me, girl, embrace your space,
Yeah.
and really be authentically you. And I think for a long time I searched for, people are calling us. It's good. I searched for approval from other people.
Mhm.
And when I stopped doing that and stepped into my own light, my own power, stepped giving away my power and embraced my own space,
Mhm.
really became proud of who I am and what I have to offer, I operated differently.
Yeah. And I think it is something that takes a little time. When you were talking about being 2, 3, 4 young, I remember same thing. And it was that growing up where like children should be seen and not heard, and you better sit
Yeah.
there and be quiet. And the space that you were given was you had to act and behave a certain way in it. So then growing up with that adage, now you're a flourishing young woman or an adult, if, whatever. And how do you step into your space? Because you're like, oh, but I don't want to upset them. I don't. And so it is something that for me and you was a transition, because it wasn't.
Yeah, you don't want to tiptoe.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be fully present, you want to be energized, and you want your momentum, and you want to be you, and you don't want if you're high energy, or if you're not shy, or feel a little bit more energetic, it can you just want to make sure you don't trample all over other people, and you want to make sure people are comfortable around you. That can be difficult. Sometimes people aren't entirely comfortable.
Yeah.
And that
Balance.
still means embrace your space.
Yeah.
Embrace who
Balance
you
for
are.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That balance. But, and you had, so that's embrace your space. Fantastic. You just did a little touch on values. And that's our point number 3 there is know your values. So that's your belief system. That's what you hold important. Those are the things like honesty and integrity. And I mean, the values structure that you have, we do tons of work on values at Best Over You. It's one of our core principles.
It really is. And add in here, because it's your talk just as much as mine. I mean, we were going back and forth with yours, but
Mm-hmm.
know your values. That it can be it can be tough to stand in your values and embrace your space. For
Mm-hmm.
example, I'll just go right there. I'm not a person who really ever drinks very much, ever, ever, really, ever.
Yeah.
And I've had that. I've had that since I was in high school. I saw drinking around me. I was like, no, not for me, kind of thing. And that's difficult. Just that one thing, being an adult, being in parties in college and everywhere. My whole life, it's been an interesting journey being
Mm-hmm.
a basic non-drinker. If you're around me, I might have a sip of wine or a glass of wine with you or something like that, but not a big drinker. And so that's just one example of how hard it can be to stand in your own values and your own light and embrace your own space
Yeah.
when everybody is doing something else around you, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you don't have the herd, when you don't have the
Yeah.
group or the crew or the whatever, it is a lot harder. Yeah. And I think so. That's the importance of knowing your value and embracing your space together. And you had alluded to that link, right?
Yeah,
Know what you find acceptable and
for you.
allowable in your life, because
Yeah, and
you are the captain of your own ship. And that is something we talk about too. And I think that's so important is I don't have to agree with you. You and
yeah.
I don't have to agree on everything to live respectful, loving relationships and friendships,
Yeah.
but we need to have space for each other's values, or if there's differences, if there's space for differences. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, it can be anything from political values. It can be anything from parenting values.
Yeah.
Um, People will say, well, how do you stay, how are you married for so long, for example?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's because the values match up really well. And there's good communication around change and maneuverability and things like that.
Yeah.
But the value portion um, is something sometimes that we're not taught them.
Yeah. Or yeah, you're not aware of them. And
Yeah.
so you think it's either common sense or whatever, but I think doing work on your values is always stuff that I would recommend. I know we would recommend
Yeah.
is figure out what's important to you. Yeah. Number 4, I know this is Elizabeth's talk, but I'm stealing it. Ground in gratitude. I love gratitude all day long. I write in gratitude journals. I start my day with gratitude. I know you do too, but you said I could talk more. So boom, I get to take that one.
You're so funny. As long as you come back, because I've got a lesson with gratitude. You go for it. Ground in gratitude.
Yeah.
We do. I mean, we are gratitude. We're creatures of gratitude. And from just personal experience from being, not on the planet twice, from, being resuscitated from food allergic reactions. One of the things that I do every day is just have that perspective of gratitude for breath. So I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Okay. Now what? Now the day can continue. And I really, really, that's the gratitude practice I have. There are lots of different gratitude practices around. I know we have journals and gratitude journals. I'd love for you to talk about that.
Yeah. When we started creating journals together, we have one that talks about values, back to point 3, but
Yeah.
gratitude is something, as we talked and got to know each other, we just knew it was stuff that we were showing each other our journals. We both have tons of journals, and different things about them sparked us joy. And I said off the cuff one day, we should make our own gratitude journals. And I have done some self-publishing with Best Ever You. We both had with our first journal. So then we said, now we know how to do this. And so the gratitude journals that we have often just have that. If you saw me this morning, you could see it. It was the 5 things I am grateful for today. And then the little coffee cup that says, today I am. There's some variations with them. We have over 200 journals to choose from now, available on Amazon. But I love these ones. They're just 6x9ers. They're 100 pages. And they're easy to travel with. They fit in my handbag. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how big your handbags are, but this one fits in mine.
Turn it around so people can see the Percolate Daily. And there you go.
Yes,
and the point of that right there too is with these things, it's what are you doing? What is the best you daily? What are you percolating every day? Are you thinking with your heart? Are you embracing your space? Are you knowing your values? Are you grounding in gratitude? What's your practice for these things? I'm intentionally slowed down right now so that we slow down to sort of think and give ourselves a break. We've been very busy this morning. And so to create that pause for ourselves to think, because don't you think, Chris, that we're very busy creatures? We go, 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 go. And unless we take the time to pause and think about these things, we may not be incorporating them intentionally into our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't incorporate things that are like on this list from 1 to 10 into your lives, your life may be carrying you. And you may get to a moment where you stop, pause, and need some of these tools in your toolbox to have your best life.
Yeah, I love what you just said there as well. We're now talking about number 5, just naturally happened, about the pause. But you use the word intentional. And I think that is such a different thing. And so when you are intentionally pausing, when you are intentionally resting, taking a break, honoring the downtime that you need, that intentional, like I have had, and I'm sure you and some of our listeners have too, where I'm taking a break, but my mind hasn't stopped and I'm going, I should. And the phrase, I've heard this, don't should on yourself.
Yeah. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Those are bad ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but to intentionally be like, I am right now taking a break because my mind, my body, my business, my family needs me at my best. And for that, I need this rest. And we're not, I would say by and large, we're not very good at that. We sort of have championed over the years being busy and getting that superhero badge. And so this idea of pause is sort of being re-injected or reintroduced, I would say. Maybe for some, introduced for the first time. And to not beat yourself up when you need to rest or pause, I think is hand in hand.
It's sort of getting off that hustle and bustle bandwagon, and really just it's a method of self-care. And it's like Quaid said, my son, recharge your batteries, pause, and so forth. But you can just close your eyes, even just like right now, you can close your eyes and just pause for a little bit of internal peace and train your brain to quiet down. I know I'm talking right now, and I'm going to open my eyes back up, but everything about you recharges when you allow for pause. Think about like your phone needs to pause. It has to be recharged. Batteries everything has to be recharged, and so do you. And so the pause is really important to really calm your mind down. So one of the things, I'm going to go on pause for just a little bit more because I think it's huge. We picked on 5 in both of our talks. 5 was huge. So 5 is my favorite here. And we have trouble slowing down. I know, Chris, you and I have talked about this in things that we've done. One of the exercises I do with my clients in life coaching is I'll have them lie on the floor and close their eyes and turn off their mind. And for as long as it takes, they'll be like, I'm still thinking, and it's 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever. And so to train yourself and your brain to really pause, not totally fall asleep. Sometimes we fall asleep when we do that, but just get the checklist out. And the first time you do that exercise where you just lie on the floor, close your eyes, and try and be quiet, the checklist might keep going. Yeah. Don't give up. Do it again. Yep, checklist keeps going. Do it again. If you do that every day, like take 5 or 10 minutes where you just completely chill out and turn your brain off and relax yourself and do nothing else. That means don't pick up your phone, not a book, not TV, no music, no anything, just you being with you. Eventually you'll get it. Yeah. But it takes a little bit of the rewiring.
Mhm.
Um, and 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 I think also like perspective. It doesn't mean you have to be there for 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. But like anything, these are, these are tools for success we're talking about here. And they're not things that you just snap your finger and magically I'm like, oh, I have all these skills now. It is stuff that you need to put into practice and that you need to build and develop, and pausing, like you were saying, that's a great thing to do. Well,
Yeah,
I know you've done that with me. And
and it with me too.
I don't want to tell you I'm excellent at it every time.
Yeah, but we turn off our outer and inner when we do that, and it's just
Mhm.
super important.
Yeah.
And we get off autopilot. We get out of the checklist, the to-do list, the autopilot, the
Yeah.
busy, 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 and we just kind of pause. And then it creates the space for you to let your best self filter through. It creates the
Yeah.
space for you to think about other things on this list when you come back up from that, and want to go 100 million miles an hour again, or 5 miles an hour again, depending. But you'll create a pause, and eventually you'll do that longer and longer. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
pause, I guess. I don't know what else to say about pause, but other than just it's a practice.
It's important.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to 6 then. And we were talking about respect. Man, that's a 3-hour talk too, but we're going to just do the Coles notes of it because there's so many facets to it. There's respect for all the people and relationships and businesses and things in your life, but also that self-respect. And so when I look at that, have respect as a tool for success, I just think it's a key one.
Yeah. If you take a look at this list and think of it like bricks on the foundation, thinking with your heart, embracing your space, knowing your values, grounding in gratitude, pausing for some peace, and so forth. Respect is in there too, and maybe it even belongs at number one. Maybe we've got this out of order, which is fine. There are no particular
In
order.
no particular order.
Yeah, but the respect for yourself, the respect for others, but especially the respect for yourself.
Mhm.
Is your behavior, are your actions, ask yourself, in line with your values, your goals, your beliefs, and so forth? And taking it a step further, are you taking responsibility for
Mhm.
everything that you think, say, do, write, on and on? And it's like, oh, that's boring.
Yeah. But it's so
But
important. And if you've ever worked with someone who isn't accountable, who doesn't take responsibility, or even if you've done it and you feel icky after, like I have gone, I think one of the most, I'm over accountable. I will confess to things immediately,
yeah,
because I really value that. That's very high on my values list, is taking responsibility and being accountable.
yeah,
And it is the same for you. And that is one of the things that if you ever don't do it and I want to course correct it immediately if I've ever not, right? And I bet I haven't. I just feel so strongly about it. I'm out of words right now. I'm just like
no, I
vibrating.
know. Well, this is the part where we practice our personal compliance. And I can't say that this is like this is kind of like reminders, to a reminder to do these things and so forth, because they make you and help you and are that fuel to be the cream of the crop, the best of
Mhm.
the best, the world class in the mix. And they're little things that you can do, to show up differently than perhaps other people do,
Mhm.
to help you be your best. And the fallout is you'll be better in the crowd.
Yeah.
It's like the person who takes the time to have the respect for someone else to write a personal thank you note,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. It sets the tone differently.
Mhm.
Um, so we talked about pausing and respect and responsibility. This next one, you and I have both talked about this, and one of the best lessons on Know Your Worth is Sophia Nelson. I thought when she came on our sorry, I'm itching for a second. When she came on our previous summit before and talked about knowing your worth and your value and all that, that was a great lesson, enough for me to write a note in front of me. Remember your value,
Yeah.
because I don't know, you and I've talked about, what else do we charge for that? Not charge for that? We sometimes wonder, um, what our value is to other people,
Yeah.
and it's interesting feedback.
Yeah. And
from-
yes, it's not an easy, there isn't just a simple, here's a package about your value. No, you have to decide it, but you need to have it so that your clients feel good, but that you feel good. And that was something that we spent a lot of time, Elizabeth and I, talking about that. And, before I worked with Best Ever You, one of the biggest lessons I learned working in my corporate life is I remember taking a job once that I said no to maybe 4 times before they
Yeah.
finally came back and recognized my value and said, okay, what about this offer? And I actually thought on time 1, 2, and 3, I thought the door was closed forever because I was like, I don't want to do that and that and that for this and that, like whatever the compensation was with whatever they were doing. I didn't feel good. And I thought, well, they'll find somebody that will do that. But they really wanted me. And that was so affirming to me. But me knowing my worth at that point and saying those no's without fear, it was really hard.
Yeah.
But I thought I need to stand in my strength right here. I need to embrace my space and say, mm-mm. And so knowing that when we come to forward where we are now talking about our worth, and you've had the same thing with other hats on in business where you're like, when you get it right and your client is happy and you're happy, there's no better feeling.
Yeah, no,
And
absolutely. And,
mhm.
knowing your worth, and when you forget, what do you do when you forget your worth? I think that's the question. Or what do you do if you're out of touch with your worth, or you're
Yeah.
sort of, you're out of alignment, so to speak.
Yeah.
It, I know one of the things that has helped me with knowing you is a sharp reminder from
Mhm.
somebody who isn't going to cut you down or make you feel less than, but rather build you up and make you confident,
Yeah.
and help you re-engage and reignite with your worth and confidence.
Yeah.
Because we don't always have it in every moment, and so
No,
it's
and
important.
so relying on your peers and your mentors and things like that are definitely part of those tools to help you know your own personal worth
Yeah,
until you're like, okay, I've got this. And
yeah,
so using your community is a huge thing for that too, right?
yeah.
Which
And oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead. You go.
Well, you go. No, I think right here too, it's very important to tell everyone involved to take a look at who is around them and if they're making you feel worthy. Because quite frankly, often our circle can hold us back or naysay or have behaviors that we don't agree with or whatever. And you might feel like it might have that feeling like, ooh, I've outgrown this crowd and I'm going to change and I'm changing and they're going to stay. And that's just the way it's going to be. But you know your worth and you're
Yeah.
standing in your own power and your own value with you intact. I think
Hmm.
is very important.
Yeah.
Um, One
Agreed.
thing with take action that I want to make sure we mention, I should have probably put it on here, is it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we're taking action and doing, you know, doing things to help us propel success, whether it's one thing you do every day or 5 things or taking a break that day or whatever. It is okay if you do something. And I love one Frank Schaefer earlier. He's like, yep, and I've got 2 books that didn't see the light of day or whatever. You can put things out there or do something, and the failure is a great lesson.
Yeah, mistakes. Make mistakes. Not
Please.
a single person is born into this world without making mistakes, from falling when you first walk, your whole journey in school. If you didn't make mistakes, like, that's the platform for learning. And we forget about that as adults and we become hard on ourselves. And instead of just saying, oh, I've made a mistake, or I had a lesson learned, and there's a lot of negative chatter around the word failure, but I don't look at it that way. I just think, oh, well, that attempt didn't work. Let's revamp it. Let's do it another way. And some of our speakers talked about that too, right? It's
Yeah.
the importance of keeping going. And so action, action, action all day.
And as you're around people who are growing and doing new things, give them some room, give them
Mm,
some space, pause around them to let them make mistakes, including your own children. That's been a tricky one as a parent with 4 boys. You want everybody to do
yeah,
do everything great and all this stuff,
yeah,
and you're like, oh, that
yeah.
you see their mistakes, and you have to let it go. They have to make mistakes,
That's right. Including your Canadian business partners. You have to forgive them too and let them make mistakes.
and
I've
me
heard. I've
too.
heard. I've
I'm
heard.
the typo queen. Yeah, we all make mistakes,
Yeah.
and it's okay. And then I think the last point kind of ties into the Change Guidebook. I have a book out there. It's called the Change Guidebook. It's with HCI, and it's new. It comes out in March. I think it'll be in March anyway. I know books are getting delayed right now, but it's called the Change Guidebook: How to Align Your Heart, Truths, and Energy to Find Success in All Areas of Your Life.
Yeah.
And that alignment, is really important to me. I love that word because I really believe that we must think with our heart and live and show up authentically and understand that you go where you place your energy. And I think when those things kind of line up,
Yeah.
you can do pretty much anything.
Yeah. And it's all about that. I do love the word align that you have in your book title as well, because lining up your heart and your whole being with the direction that you're going, with the things that you're doing, whether it's business or personal, doesn't matter. That is just so key. So yeah, her book is coming out March. Pre-orders are happening now. We'll make sure the links are available in this video since we've mentioned it for you to go over and check it out. And you can always check it out at besteveryou.com as well. And if anybody happens to be just chiming in now and hadn't gone to our website, besteveryou.com, you can still register for this summit. I know you're watching it for free and that's great. But by registering, you get access to the replays and you get access to, we've done some giveaways here. We're going to do some more giveaways later.
We'll give away some copies of Percolate.
Yeah, perfect. And we'll give away a couple journals too, I'm sure.
Awesome.
So yeah. So in any event, these are tools for success that we've just gone through and gone over. We would love to hear from you. If you have something else you'd like to add to our list, or if something really compelled you and you thought, oh yeah, I really like that point, join the conversation. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, we're going to bring the energy back up. This is a heartfelt kind of paused conversation to really kind of think about everything, but up goes the energy again. And we love you all and thank you for joining us. And we'll see you in just a bit with our next speaker.
Bye for now.
Thank you, Chris.